Hello everyone and welcome to A Life of Balance. Today we are going to be making these really cute little yarn pumpkins that are just a wrapped yarn around a styrofoam ball actually. So let's get started. Let's talk about what you need. You need a styrofoam ball. Get these in a variety of sizes and whatever size you want to make your pumpkin. That's what size you need to get. You're going to need some yarn. We're going to cut that in a second. You're going to need some little leaves or other types of embellishments. Here I have a couple of burlap leaves. I've cut those out of burlap using the template that I have available to you below the video. And you're going to need some tendrils. I taught you how to do these tendrils in another video on our chunky yarn pumpkins, chunky braided ones. So if you don't know how to do that, go check that out there. And then you're going to need something for a stem. I have a couple of options for me today. I have a smaller cork, and I have a piece of a dowel rod, which you really can't see there, can you? A piece of a dowel rod. So we'll see what works best with the size that I'm going to make. And then you're going to need a needlepoint needle or something to help you thread the needle through to weave it around the ball as we work on it. And then you're going to need something to drill a hole with. And I'm going to show you, we used a spade bit from a drill bit. My husband actually drilled the holes, but you can also do it manually. If you just push this in and start twisting, it'll make the hole that you need to make. Now, you need to make a hole in your styrofoam ball. You need to make a hole that pretty much encompasses 90% of your styrofoam ball, leaving you just a little bit of an edge. This, I'll tell you right now, will not work. Can you see how small that hole is? That will not work. You're going to be too full in the middle before you have anything close to coverage on the outside. So you need to give yourself as much of a hole as you can in the middle, and I think maybe this is the bit. Maybe not. I mean, he may have used even a bigger bit on this one. But my husband used a drill bit, but like I said, you can do it manually. You also will need your glue gun. So you're going to cut your yarn. You're going to cut it in about, I don't know, 3 foot lengths, 1 yard lengths, I don't know. I just kind of pull out and cut. I use sewer's measuring, and these are a little longer, but that's okay. So you're going to cut it in those lengths, and then we're going to I cut these earlier today, so I'm going to trim off the end here so that I get a nice sharp end that I can use to thread into my embroidery or my needlepoint needle. And these needles have a big eye. That's why we're using them. They have a great big eye. They're plastic needles. They have a great big eye, and they make threading this in here easy. You don't have to use the needle. You can use your fingers and push it through, but you'll find the needle makes it a little easier. So to get started, what we're going to do is take the other end, the end that's not threaded in, and you notice when I threaded in, by the way, I didn't loop through very much. You don't need very much, just enough to hold it in there. We're going to take the other end and we're going to put a little dab of hot glue on the inside of our ball here. And it's going to try to cut down on our strings. And we are going to put our edge there and get our little thing here so we don't burn ourselves, and just kind of press down till it holds that. And you got to kind of press and hold to give it a second to dry. There we go. And then this is probably the simplest pumpkin you'll ever make. It is literally just wrapping. So we're going to take it through here. Yikes, try not to disturb that's still drying. Just this way as much as we can here. And then kind of pull it over the top of there. And then do it again. And I got this cut a little long, so it's a little harder to pull through, but that's okay. It'll adjust here in a little bit. It's kind of a matter of whether you want to thread the needle more often or pull through a longer strand. So I decided to pull through a longer strand. And you don't have to worry about where they end up too much. Get them kind of close, but you'll find out you can't keep them right up on top of each other, and that's okay, because as you go, we're going to come back around and fill in the outside edges later. So okay, we are now at the end of our thread, our piece of yarn here. And so I'm going to actually adjust a little bit here. So we're going to take it and pull it around to where it'll go underneath. And then I like to try to keep it, it popped off my needle. I like to try to keep it on the needle. Let's see if I can get it back on. Oh, I can't, okay. So we're gonna kind of sit this here to be ready to be threaded through. And we're gonna then do the same thing we done the other end. We're gonna put ourselves a drop of glue. And then this time, if we're careful, we can pull it through using the needle to hold it tight against that glue. And let it dry there for a second and get a good hold. And then we're going to cut it off just below where we glued it, so we don't have too much extra yarn in the middle there. And then I know some people try to keep their ends that are glued and attached all on one end. So if you do, you could have adjusted. I didn't, and mine are actually on opposite ends. I just go wherever they land. I found they don't really matter as long as you're somewhat neat with your gluing. And so then we're just going to thread the next needle, maybe, and repeat until we finish this one. And as we get around here, we're going to keep going, and we're just going to kind of go around, and we're going to start filling in our edges, our little holes. There's little gaps here and there. See, there's a good one. We're just going to go through and fill those in as we go, and we'll just keep going until we are pleased. Actually, I'm going to go the other end. Until we are pleased with how thick and full our pumpkin, the yarn on our pumpkin is. Or until we've hit the point where we can't get any more yarn through the middle. Then once you're done with your last strand, you're going to tie it off basically just the same. You're going to put your dab of glue in, and you're going to push your yarn up against that across it to hold it in place. And you kind of wanted to have decided, and I did look at mine and decide, you're going to want to decide which end you're going to use at the top. And I decided that end was going top, so I glued on my bottom. You always want to see, I ended up cutting a little bit more off than I usually do, but you want to glue on your bottom, especially on that last one, because you're not going to have a chance to cover it up. Okay, so once you've got all your yarn in place, then now's the time for the fun, the embellishments. And somehow in this process I lost there's one of them, my little leaves. I wonder where they ended up. Oh, they're on my lap. Okay. Which I think that one may be a little big. I think these are about the right size. So put maybe a couple of those on there. And then I think we'll do a little bit of tendril over on this side. That's too much. Not that. Okay, so we're gonna put ourselves a little dot of glue down in there for the tendril. our timbrel down in there and let him dry a little bit. Thing about glue, you gotta let it dry a little bit, and then we're gonna put just a couple little dabs under our leaves here just to kind of hold it in place. Because in the end, our whatever we use for our stem will hold it all in place. Okay. Now then, I have that little bitty stem. Oh, don't get him stuck yet. And I don't know if he's enough, but then I think he is way, well, he's not going to go down in very far, so he's going to stick up like that. I think he's too much. I think he is way too much. So we're going to go with this guy, because I don't have any of the other smaller ones. So a lot of times I put it on the stem itself, but I'm going to actually put it down in there. And I could have thickened him up, I guess, by wrapping him with some twine. But he'll be okay. What do you think? I think he maybe needs a little more for a stem, but we'll figure out what we need to do for that. But there you go. That's how you make one wrapped pumpkin, wrapped yarn pumpkin. And just know you can make them in just about any size. You can see I did 2 different sizes here. This one was made with a 2.5 inch ball. This one was made with a 4 inch ball. You can get them even, you know, in between. I think this may be a 3 inch ball. So you can get a variety of sizes. So just make a whole little pumpkin patch in lots of different colors. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day.